You already know what we're doing. We got more leaks for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Let's take a look. All right, so in continuation from yesterday's thread from Centro and the leaks coming from Kaka and Riddler Crew, we actually have some new information, which I thought was pretty crucial and deserving of its own video. I do want to mention that yesterday when I was talking about the map and kind of how the gyms were broken out, I mentioned the Fairy Gym. I believe it's actually a Psychic Gym. Some of you guys pointed that out. But we talked a lot about kind of how you'll be able to kind of travel through the region and how some of the gyms are going to be certain levels and other gyms are going to be other levels. And depending on which order you do them, you may end up in a situation where you have like 5 or 6 badges and you go to backtrack to a gym and that gym is level 20 and your team is like level 45 or 50, which I've kind of expressed my sadness about, but at the same time, it's going to be what it's going to be. So we'll wait and see how that all plays out. But there's some really interesting kind of pieces to this that we're going to touch on today that kind of give a little bit more insight as to how this is going to play out. So they go on to say that wild Pokemon can ambush the player and surprise attack them from behind to force a battle. So we've seen this kind of happen in the past where like you're walking through a cave and you'll get ambushed going back to Pokemon X and Y in the Kalos region. It seems as though that's going to be a big focus point of some of the encounters that you'll have in this game. You can't exactly access any gym from the start, as some of them may require certain Koraidon and Miraidon riding skills to access. But they do actually go on to say that there's an alternate way to the final Psychic Gym earlier without Koraidon and Miraidon's last riding ability, but you'll get ambushed by a level 50 something Pokemon in your path, so it's not that simple. And that seems to be kind of how this game is going to function. You're going to have pretty much free access to go anywhere you want. You could go to the 8th gym if you wanted, you could go to the 5th gym right at the gates, whatever it is. But not necessarily the gym is going to stop you, but there's going to be wild Pokemon and other Pokemon that are going to stop you from being able to do that, simply because you're not going to have a strong enough team to be able to beat them. Now, will people find a way with like Fear Rattata level 1, you know, Endeavor strats? Maybe. Will there be an opportunity to utilize something like a Shedinja that can kind of cheese your way through some stuff, or like counter sturdy strategies or whatever? Like, will there be ways to do it? I'm sure there will, right? Like, and I think that that'll be like a cool thing to see, is like, I beat the 8th gym with all level 10 Pokemon, right? Maybe there's a way to do it. That'll be fun for challenges. But they go on to say that you'll get ambushed by those level 50 Pokemon. They go on to say that there aren't any artificial blocks anywhere in the game. No trainer's gonna block your path. That means you can go straight to challenge the Pokemon League with 0 badges. And that is crazy. They go on to say that the league in this game is a series of tests. It's not like the standard Pokemon League. But they'll go on to say that, however, you'll actually fail one of the tests if you don't have any of the badges, and then if you fail the test, you'll be kicked out of the league stadium. So if you don't have all the badges, you can't pass one of the tests anyway. So you can just go to the Pokemon League, but if you do that, they're gonna stop you at some point. But there's no trainers that are just like, oh, we need a medicine for these Psyducks that have a headache that have just been blocking the road, or, oh, we're filming on this super crucial route with our camera crew and our Loudred Magnemite, and you can't go by, or whatever the excuse they make is to block off these different routes in the game to force you to go a certain way. That's not gonna be the case, but they then go on to say you can go anywhere, you can access the league, you'll get kicked out. There aren't really any blocks to access anything in Paldea, but there's aggressive Pokemon that will ambush the player very frequently, and you'll end up hating them. And those Pokemon are Tauros, which we know Tauros has different regional forms, so we'll see multiple versions of Tauros. The Mankey line, which has a new evolution in Primeape. Cloth, which is obviously the rock crab Pokemon we saw. One of the new dog Pokemon, which hasn't been revealed yet. The chili pepper Pokemon and the grasshopper Pokemon. Apparently, according to the leaker, these lines of Pokemon are going to be very aggressive. They're going to be all over your face. They're going to jump all over you. They're going to stop you as you're trying to get to harder areas. And that's what's going to ultimately make it challenging to advance, because you're only going to have so many potions or healing items. Your team's only going to be a certain level, and you're just going to get bombarded by these Tauros and these Mankeys. And they even go on to say that you're going to end up hating these Pokemon by the end of the game because of how annoying they are. And I just hope they aren't too annoying, to be perfectly honest. By the way, if you guys didn't hear, I'm doing a Nintendo Switch giveaway, and I'm giving away 5 prototype starter decks, as well as a holographic prototype Mustation card from my new game, Alestrals, which is dropping on Kickstarter in November. You guys can enter for free using the Gleam link in the description below, and I'd ask you check out my project. We're building something really, really special, and this is an opportunity to get involved in our card game development and beyond, video game development, everything that we're doing. early. So go follow us on social media. It's free to enter. You have a chance to win a Switch, and you're checking out my awesome project. So thank you to everyone who's done that. Only a few days left to enter this. And again, it's completely free to enter. Just make sure you guys use my Gleam link. Don't fall for any of those Telegram scams that people keep doing. We've got some other information. There is going to be a crane Pokemon, which we kind of knew about. Apparently, that's going to be dark and flying type. So that'll be interesting to see. Dark and flying. We've seen that typing before. It's obviously very good on like Yveltal, Mandibuzz, things like that. So I'll take a dark and flying crane Pokemon. Why not? It also mentions here that if you run from a wild Pokemon, it will stay in the overworld. And apparently, from the leakers, that also means that you will not be able to fail shiny Pokemon. So if you run into a shiny Pokemon, you run away from that shiny Pokemon, it's gonna still be there in the overworld, which has some massive implications for shiny hunting. Obviously, it has some massive implications for reducing the number of failed shiny Pokemon that people are gonna have. So this is a point that I think is really big, right? Like, and I like that. I like that. Like, if I run into a Pokemon and then I run away, it should still be there. I mean, you know, but that also may mean that the shiny hunting mechanics are different. Like I said, very different. So worth noting, worth mentioning. Let me know your thoughts on that, because that could be a very fundamental change to shiny hunting like we've never seen before, really. Then we get some information that the Path of Legends story, the different Titans, the recommended rock, flying, steel, dragon, and ground. That's what was recommended to do. Again, you can do them in any order, but they have like fixed levels that don't scale. So that's just gonna be what it's gonna be. Couple other bits of information we're gonna cover here. The Riddler posted these different little treats. Looks like fried dough to me. Apparently, according to Amashinu, this is a mahua, which is a type of donut. It's a fried dough twist in a Chinese dough twist that is fried in peanut oil. This probably has something to do with the little dog. What is it called? Fido? It's not Fido. Whatever. You know what I'm talking about. The little dog Pokemon. Oh, it is actually called Fido. I hope the evolved form is called Fried Dough, which would be really cool. I think this is just a hint towards that, so we'll have to wait and see if that ends up being it, but we know it's gonna be fairy type. Couple other bits of information. Apparently Scarlet and Violet do not use the Switch time, but have their own time like Legends, so you can explore a day or night at will. Legends Arceus, you could easily flip the clock, which was really nice. It seems like that's gonna be the case in Scarlet and Violet as well. We knew that there was gonna be this like Pokemon picnic mechanic. It seems as though you can wash your Pokemon. Washing your Pokemon grows your bond with them, restores their HP. There's probably gonna be some sort of like little gimmicky system where in-game, if your Pokemon loves you, they'll dodge attacks and stuff. They've done that for a couple of generations now, so don't be surprised to see that. And just some other last bits of information regarding the franchise. Shiny Eternatus is confirmed. US and Canada, EB Games at GameStop, EB Games for Australia, New Zealand, September 18th to October 1st. So if you want to grab yourself a Shiny Eternatus, you just got to go to a GameStop in the US and Canada, EB Games in Australia. There's some other locations like Singapore and stuff that came up. You can just Google it. But basically, you just have to go in and they'll give you the code for it. You don't have to buy anything, so don't get tricked into buying or pre-ordering anything. You just got to show up. So that's it. You can grab your Shiny Eternatus that way. And then Dodrio just got added as a playable character to Pokemon Unite. This thing zooms around the map. It's a scoring machine. Very, very cool. Kind of weaves in and out of battle. I just played a game with it before we're filming this. I think it's actually a really cool welcome addition. I'm still going to use, I've only played like 3 games since the new map dropped. I'm still getting used to it. The game is very different than what it was, and I have not had time to play. But Dodrio is the newest, and Scissor coming at the end of the month is something that I'm very excited for. I definitely want to play Scissor in Pokemon Unite. I'm going to figure out how to play this game more so I can get some time in with Scissor, that's for sure. So obviously that change to shiny Pokemon is pretty big, and we got some information about how this map is going to play out and these Pokemon that are just going to ambush you at any opportunity they have. Don't forget to check out my game Alestro's launching on Kickstarter in November. You guys get into the giveaway for free to win a Switch, prototype starter decks, which are no longer for sale, and a prototype holographic Mustation card, which is super sick. So thank you guys for checking that out. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.